Hello, World of Tank Blitzers, it's a Littlefinger. Hey, today we are going to compare the T25 AT versus the Jagdpanther. And straight off the bat, you'll notice the Jagdpanther does have a pretty good size advantage over the T25 AT, which is not necessarily a great thing when you're trying to hide your lower plate, which is your primary weak spot from the front. Those of you that are pretty astute will notice that I run the 8.8 gun on the Jagdpanther. It does have a 10.5 centimeter gun, which you can see here does more pen, more damage, but your damage per minute drops over 200 to just shy of 2800. I'm running at 3000 damage per minute with the 8.8 gun. Just real quick to look at the gun on the T25, the American. It has a 105 millimeter gun, and you're doing 2761 damage, about 310 average damage per shot. Alright, so Blitzstars.com gives us a great way to compare these two tanks. Yeah, you can see here I've got the Jagdpanther with the bigger gun, 105 centimeter, just so that we could use it for comparison. But as I said, in these videos, I'm going to be running the 8.8, which gives us the 3000 damage per minute number versus 2760. Even with that smaller gun, you've got more pen at 203 versus 198. You're doing 220 per shot versus 310. So the downside is you've got to be on target more, and you have to be shooting more frequently. But again, like I said, you have more damage per minute, about a shot and a half. You've got great shell velocity here with the Jagdpanther, as with the T25 AT. The guns are very similar. The dispersion on this 8.8 is real nice at 0.29 without any equipment. So advantage to the Jagdpanther on that front. 8 degrees of gun depression versus 10 degrees, and 13 degrees of arc angle, so 26 total before you have to move that tank and reset camo. Speed is very similar for both of these tanks, as you can see here. 55 versus 56 kilometers per hour is your top speed. With the effective horsepower per ton, the advantage goes to the Jagdpanther, but I don't really feel that or notice it. I feel that the T25 AT is still a little bit more mobile, even though on paper it isn't. And then one other thing to note, obviously, is this frontal armor, 145 over 120, which gives you the benefit to the T25. And as we notice here, slight advantage in win rate to the T25. So let's look at the, just your general weak spots. As you can see, as we mentioned, your lower plate here. Not a whole lot you can really do other than just try to hide that as best you can. And if we switch over to the American tank here, there we go. Very similar, but again, a much smaller profile to be shooting at. So one other thing that I think we should look at in using this as a comparison between these two tanks is the tech tree. Here is the T25 AT. You have to go to the T28, which is horrible, and then the T95 was absolutely horrible until you get to the T110E3, which is probably my favorite tier 10 tank. On the flip side here with the Jagdpanther, you've got a great line of tanks to go through. JP2, Jagdtiger, and then the Jagdguru. All of these are super great, fun tanks. So advantage there, in my opinion, to the Jagdpanther. Alright, so I know you're here to watch the replays and get a better feel for both of these tanks. As we get started here, hey, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and don't forget to leave a comment and like the video below. All of those things really help me show up more in the Blitz YouTube search, and I really appreciate it, guys. So, here I'm going to play 2 games from the Jagdpanther and 2 games from the T25 AT. And, you know, towards the end, I'll tell you which one I prefer. As you can see, they both have decent mobility. 55 kilometers per hour top speed for the Jagdpanther. Obviously, we're not going to get there as we climb this hill. But we are going A. And this is a rather quick game, but the reason I picked this one out is just so you can see how fast you can rack up some big numbers in this gun, in this tank. And remember, I'm playing the 8.8 just because it carries over 200 more damage per minute, and the pen on it is better than the T25 AT. So, you know, it's perfectly capable at the tier. You don't need to run the top gun, in my opinion, on this tank. So look, we've pushed on in, and we've got the ARL here. He snaps one at us and totally misses. And this super quick reload. So this is why I like the 8.8 gun, is we get 3 shots off to his 1. Tiger's coming across. No problem. We can pen the side of the Tiger. Yeah, we're going to struggle on the front of the Tiger, but we can't quite get that last shot in. You know, we've up 2 tanks already, and we'll just get in here trying to shoot tracks if we can. And that's the great thing about this tank is, you know, with the accuracy and the fast reload, you can just about perma-track. If I'd have waited a second, I'd have tracked him again, I'm sure. But as you can see, the game is just super quick, and we've just annihilated these guys. Won't get into talking about, you know, 6-0 defeats and victories and all that stuff. We try to keep the comments positive about the play of game and just focus on these tanks. Very low profile, the T71, so not worth shooting HE at. Much higher chance of hitting the tracks and whatnot, but you can see there, just a super quick game, and we end up finishing that with 2,580 damage, you know, 12 shots in just a couple of minutes. So that just goes to show you how fast and accurate this gun is. Now for the next game, you know, I wanted to pick a game that had a lot more mobility in it, which you'll see here. And the big challenge, obviously, with both of these TDs is making sure that you've got your sides and rears covered, right? The armor's definitely in the front on these tanks, and you will get quite a few bounces, especially if you're angled down a little bit, hiding that lower plate. Don't really get a good feel for it in these games, but you know, one of the things you can do to help alleviate any of that is obviously to stay on the outside of the maps, right? We've got our left side protected from anybody that might have gone B, and we're just waiting for this team of basically higher tier tanks to get spotted up and let us get comfortable with where they are on the map. And we've got 5 of them showing up on the far side. So the decision here is, do we push, or do we take more of a position where we could potentially flank and or get shots in without being spotted? And one of the things you'll notice in my videos lately is oftentimes when I'm driving it, I'll just stop for no reason. I can't figure out, my iPad is just super sensitive. If I touch over anywhere with a second button on it or something, it just drops. I don't know. It's frustrating. I'm trying to figure it out. But anyway, so I was going to take a position up on B there to try to get shots in when we see the T71. So I'm going to go ahead and aggressively try to shoot the T71. One thing you'll notice on this tank is the gun is kind of bouncy. You know, when you're going over bounces. And so I shot low and got the track. Taking a shot from across the map there towards their spawn. So we'll get back around, turn, and face our armor towards that SU, which is the culprit that shot us. But you can see how fast the aim time is on that tank. Just snapping that shot in, and we're only at 2 shots in, 450 damage, and they're down 2 tanks already. But again, wanted you to get a feel for the mobility of this tank, and we're well over 50, even 60 kilometers per hour as we come down the hill there. 3 tanks down, and we're only 2 shots in. And as we come up the hill, we're going to be a little bit surprised to see the SUs right here. So what do I do? Alright, we don't have enough time to back on down the hill, but I do have time to pull myself up in front of this rock. I'm only showing my tracks, so he ends up shooting my tracks and does 0 damage. And again, using this rock as hard cover. Bad aim there, but you'll see some good aiming and some good pen right here, just off that small little area of the side cheeks. Look at that. It's great when you make it, but this next one's going to miss. I don't aim quite right. But again, we are now 1,500 damage in with 1 tank to go. So great accuracy, even on the move. So that was a bit lucky, but this is a wonderful, fun tank to play. And like I said earlier, it is a great line. So you can't go wrong with playing this tank. But I'm going to tell you right now, guys, before we get into the video on it, for some reason, and I can't really put my finger on it, I just like the feel and the driving of the T25 AT a little bit better. So we're going to play a couple games in it. One that was more of, the camping TD, get you a good idea of the accuracy, and another one that was a little bit like that last game where, you've got to do a good bit of driving. And I don't know if it's just because the size is a little bit smaller, or is that 10 degrees of extra gun depression, or that 20 mil of additional frontal armor. I'm not exactly sure, but I do prefer this tank just a hair over the other one. But keep in mind, guys, you've got a horrible grind ahead of you if that is what you're looking to do. As we get spotted here, so we're just going to sit back down here and wait out our 10 seconds. And then pull on back up, because this is a good spot for right now. We've got tanks that we can shoot over the building. Wondering where in the heck that shot came from. But you'll notice really good accuracy on this tank. And some good mobility too. And like I said, if you can focus on keeping the tanks in front of you and not letting them to get to your side, you will definitely get some good bounces. So we're just being patient here. Nothing's really happening too much. We've already got a couple shots in, and you can see just that accuracy that I'm talking about, just skirting over the top of that building. That was asking a little bit too much, one might say there. But again, when the time is right and I feel like I'm not being beneficial here is when I will move in. And so we're spotted at this point in time, so again, I want to try to get in without taking a shot, but we are not able to. And look how fast this tank gets to top speed. Yeah, we were sitting on a hill. And we're just going to pick on this ISU here, who's going to take a few big shots. I'm not sure where that shot went, but we've bounced the Tiger, and that's okay. We pick up a kill there on the ISU, 130. And we've got an even game on right now. 1 tank advantage, and I know that we've got a guy sitting in cap. He's just inviting them at this point. He is a kill just waiting to be given to the other team, so you know they're going to be drooling all over him. T43 takes a shot from me and the IS. but does manage to get around before I can reload and try to keep my teammate alive there. So again, you'll see how fast we get up to speed, come around, nice aim time, and finish off the Tiger. And surprise, Mr. IS3D. Yep, we're over here. I'll let you put a shot into me. Carnivore there misses the kill shot on the back, but picks it up before I am taken out of the game. So we managed to survive that game with 3 kills and 2987 in damage. So again, you know, good mobility, good accuracy, and good damage make for a really fun tank to play. The final game here on Faust, and yes, we are top tier, so this one's a little bit different. So a little bit of an advantage to us being top tier, but you get a good idea for the mobility here in this game. So you really can't go wrong with either of these tanks, but if I had to pick one over the other without having to grind up the rest of the tank line, I'm going to pick the T25 AT. If you say, yeah, well, it also includes tiers 8, 9, and 10, you've got to go with the Jagdpanther. Just that line is tremendous. Really not a bad tank in there. But once you get into the T28 and the T95, they're tough tanks. Very team dependent. I would suggest being in platoons when you play with them, because those tanks are just too slow to be effective in this game. And you need a tank like this that can get around the battlefield. You know, I'd still be chugging up the hill there in a T95, and then the rest of my team would rush in and they get eliminated, and I'm sitting in the back of the map and probably hadn't even shot. So we get them kind of out in the open here. We've got our camo net. There's no way they can see us. You see there, shell velocity would be a little bit nicer on this tank if we could get that up a little bit. But again, if we can get up here, get kind of hold down, so to speak, so we're hiding our lower plate, I'm not even too worried about these KV2s. If they hit us, chances are it's just going to be splash damage around 300. It's nothing huge. It's what we're doing to them. So, you know, not too worried about it at this point. The guy that runs in front of me and takes my shot can't even drive for crap. Well, that's annoying. So even, you know, look at that small little area on the KV2 here. And their team is going heavy for all the caps. So I realized, you know, we've got to get some damage, we've got to get some kills. So good idea on the gun depression there. Aiming for that lower plate. He does wiggle a good bit. And this friggin' Panther is, I mean, just blocking the complete front of the IS. It's like, where do you want me to pen him, dude? So I'm hoping, I'm like, hey, shoot the Panther, yeah. Alright, so he's taken out. Alright, here comes Dracula, way too fast. But we'll get him pinned in here and be able to finish him off. And we're going back down to 3 caps to 1, so I decided, why not? Well, let's take a shortcut, and then look at this. The SV1C comes charging past. I should have stayed up there. Could have shot him. But now we're capping this one out just to even it out. We are down on cap points, even though now it is 3-on-1. So you get a good feel here for the mobility of this tank. You saw that we could hit some accurate shots, pinpoint shots on lower plates and whatnot. And that's why I like this tank so much. It's just so mobile, versatile, and does a lot. Started to lag out there a little bit. But anyway, guys, fun little comparison. Two very similar tanks. And again, T25 by itself over the Jpanther, but not if you have to consider the rest of that line. So for those of you that wanting to grind up the line, the Yaguru, all of those tanks, JP2 are wonderful tanks. So keep that in mind as well when you make decisions on which tanks to play, of course. And most important, guys, have fun out there. Stay safe, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.